Looking for a full-featured GMRS HT? You need to check out Tidradio's new GMRS version of their H8. Hi, and welcome to the Gadget Talk channel, where we do reviews and how-tos on a variety of gadgets that catch my eye. If you find this video helpful, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. I really appreciate it. In this video, we're going to take a look at a new radio from Tidradio called the H8 GMRS radio. I was excited to join the Tidradio test team several months ago to examine this new H8 handheld transceiver. The H8 hit a bit of a snag with FCC certification, and both the GMRS and ham versions were pulled until final FCC certification was obtained. The current version of the GMRS H8 is called the improved first generation model, and that's the one we'll be looking at here. I purchased this radio here in late June 2023, where there's a 40% off coupon to match the 2023 Prime Day price. The GMRS version has the usual GMRS channels with user-selectable CTCSS or DCS codes. It has a total of 200 channels, with channels 1 through 30 being the standard GMRS channels. Channels 31 through 54 are do-it-yourself GMRS channels, and the remainder are user-programmable receive-only channels that also include the pre-programmed NOAA weather channels. The radio is Bluetooth programmable via the ODMaster app without the Tidradio dongle, and if you choose to register, you'll also have an online account with access to programming via the ODMaster website. For those who don't want to register, the app now allows local phone programming without registration. The other big fix from the initial release was the addition of a microphone gain setting you can access from the manufacturer's CPS. Early complaints during testing revolved around low transmitter audio volume. Having a mic gain setting should help with that. I didn't see a menu item for mic gain, but it's definitely in the CPS. Speaking of the CPS, the H8 GMRS HT is also Chirp compatible, although the mic gain setting is not available in Chirp either. I'll do a separate video on how to program the radio using ODMaster, the manufacturer's CPS, and Chirp. Before we take a look at the radio, there's one other thing, and for many of you, it's huge. As I've seen with a couple of other mobile radios, the H8's firmware can be accessed through a power-on key sequence to change the radio's modes. To change the GMRS version to ham mode, turn on the radio while pressing the PTT and star buttons. The display will read init all ham. Press the menu key and the radio will reboot to the ham bands. To change to GMRS, turn on the radio while pressing the PTT and 0 key. The radio display will read init all GMRS. Again, press the menu key and the radio will reboot to the GMRS firmware. In both cases, your channel programming and codes will be lost. However, with the ODMaster app on your phone and the H8's built-in Bluetooth, adding the appropriate code plug back into the radio takes only seconds. FCC rules don't allow users to input transmitter frequencies directly on GMRS certified radios. This ability to quickly change modes and then add previously developed code plugs to match the new mode should meet many of the needs of those of you who don't want to carry two radios while still being able to make use of both your GMRS and ham licenses. Let's take a quick look at what you get and how the menus work. So here's the box that the Tidradio GMRS H8 comes in. Let's take a look at what's inside. First, we've got the owner's manual. It's a nice little glossy cover there. Good diagrams. Covers all of the information. Diagrams of the radio and various pieces and parts are labeled. Now, the H8 charges on a desktop charger, and you can see that here. On the bottom, it's listed its input and its output. So it outputs 8.4 volts at 400 milliamps. But the input is a little different than some radios in that it's a 12 volt input. So this little guy here outputs 12 volts. So that'll be something that you'll want to be aware of and maybe label so that you don't mix up the wall warts that might output a different voltage. So that's charging element. It also comes with a belt clip. There's a little screwdriver included, which is kind of cool. For the belt clip, the screws are in the bag, which is why I haven't taken them out. They're really easy to lose. And then it comes with a couple of little labels, so you can label the radio as to how you've got it programmed. I'll show you where that goes when we give the radio tour. So that's our belt clip. And then it comes with two straps. And the typical wrist strap will mount to the back of the radio. This is longer. It's almost like a conference type strap, and it has the end here, so you can use this little necklace for a lot of different things. And then before we look at the radio, we've got the antenna. The antenna is kind of nice because it's got a knurled end down here, so it gives it some support where it meets the radio. And then as you read the numbers down here in the socket side of the antenna here, you'll see that it's a dual band antenna. So the important thing is the radio itself. So let's do a quick tour of that. This is the front of the screen. The speaker's behind the grill here. The microphone is right here. There are 3 buttons on the front that make it pretty easy to manipulate when you're on the go. There's a VFR and memory button here. This button here will toggle the Bluetooth on and off. It's got the A and B. If you've got a dual display showing, you can transfer between the A register and the B register. The menu button does what menu buttons on these little radios do. We'll look at that when the power's on in just a moment. The exit will take you out of the menu, up and down for the channels. You can type in the channels, and then on the keypad you'll see it has number shortcuts for some of the menus. So if you were in menu mode and press 2, it would go to transmitter power, or menu mode and press 6, it would be the setting for how long the backlight stays on. So that's the front side of the radio. On this side of the radio, we've got 3 buttons, the push to talk there. We've got programmable key, side key 1, programmable side key 2. Those are programmable in the software, in the ODMaster app, and you can have them do various things to meet your particular needs. On the top, here's the socket for the antenna. You can see that's got the plug side, a push button for the alarm, a little LED right here to show when you're transmitting or receiving. The on-off volume button is there, and then the LED for the flashlight is there on the top. On this side, here's where that little label will fit. There's a little smooth indented place where you can lay that label. That was there with the belt clip. And then here was just a fold-down cover for the typical K1 connector if you're using a programming cable, or if you're using a speaker mic or one of those little secret agent style headsets. They will all work here with this type of connector. On the back, here is a plate for the belt clip. The screws are not here. They're in the bag, as I mentioned. And then the battery is right here. And battery slides back, and you can see then the inside of the radio itself. It's got this model right here, and then it's got this FCC ID. It's the Tidradio H8 GMRS right here. And then the battery itself, it says it's labeled as a 2500 milliamp hour battery. To put it back in, we'll just slide it under and then snap the catch back on. And then there's really nothing there on the bottom. So that's the tour of the radio. Let's put the antenna on and power the radio on so you have a chance to see what the menu system looks like. So we'll turn on the radio.
Welcome.
Here's the display on the screen. You notice at the top there's a power meter, the battery indicator, antenna indicator. It's on high, it's on wide, it's on GMRS channel 3. And then you can see the little Bluetooth icon is right there. If I press the Bluetooth button, it goes out. And then if I press A and B, it moves down to that lower register. And I can put what in that lower register, whatever I want. I can change the band. So it could be another GMRS channel or it could be something else. One of the other things I noticed here about this that I want to point out to you, here in this box it says off. That means there's no receive CTCSS code in this channel. You will sometimes have a CTCSS on the transmit but not on the receive, and I always found that a little odd. It will always say off. Well, that's because to see if there's a CTCSS or a DCS code when you transmit, you have to be transmitting. So this says off right here. If I were to press the push to talk, it's not going to change. It's going to stay off. But had there been a CTCSS code, then it would have changed to say CTS or DCS. So that's just something that's a little quirky about the radio. It makes perfect sense when you know it, and when I first worked with this radio, I didn't understand that and was always puzzled by it. So let's look at the other button here that we haven't touched is the VFO and memory button here. And so if we press,
Channel mode.
we're in channel mode. We press again.
Frequency mode.
You can see that top register moved to frequency mode.
Channel mode.
Now we've got channel mode. Again, if I go AB and I go up here,
Channel mode. Frequency mode. Channel mode.
and if I want to go into a GMRS channel while I'm here in channel mode, let's say I want to go to GMRS channel 5, I would go
0, 0, 5.
and now I've got GMRS channel 5 listed there, and back to the main register, and I'm back to GMRS 3. I like this display. This is the one I usually display because it has all the information that I need. It has a sync display. To my way of thinking, the on and off is backwards, but it works, and that is if you go into sync and change the setting, then you just get the channel 3 information and not the other information along with it. So with all these little radios, the menu system works the same. You press menu,
Menu.
goes to menu. If you press 1, you go to menu item number 1, or you can just cycle through the menus. There's 0, it's on squelch 3. This one has a menu item 42 that shows you the version and the firmware. So in this case, it's 221026. So it's October 26, 22. When you look at the link to the software that I'll show you here later in the review, you'll see that there's a newer version of the firmware, but I'm showing you this radio as it comes out of the box. You can decide whether you want to make the firmware update or not. So here we are in menu. So working our way down, we've got version, squelch tail elimination, some DTMF codes. There's that sync display that I was just talking with you about. I can reset. I can turn on receive frequency hopping, which has to do with randomly changing the CTCSS codes. It's not what you think. I've got the language as English, and so it's got all of the things that you're used to seeing. So we'll go to menu 1, and we'll just kind of exit our tour of the menu at this point. If you're familiar with these little radios, whether ham or GMRS, the menu system is pretty much all the same. So we'll exit menu with the exit key, and that gives us the quick power on tour of the Tidradio H8 GMRS.
Radio receive test on the H8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Test out. print test on the H8 123455431. Test out.
As I mentioned, the Tidradio H8 also has a customer programming software app that allows you to use your computer to program radio variables and channels. I'll leave a link in the description below and go into more depth in the H8 GMRS programming video. Here's a quick look at that. So here's a quick look at the Tidradio H8 GMRS CPS. The CPS works like all the others. You have to identify the COM port with your programming cable plugged in using Windows Device Manager, have it plugged into your radio, and go through the programming process. So in terms of a tour, here's where you select the COM port. And so you can see it comes up with the COM ports that are active, and it will correspond to the programming cable that you have. Next, you would read from the radio. It would give you all the frequencies. Here's the base frequencies that it comes up with. And it's really pretty easy to use. You know, you can make changes to your encode and decode using drop-down boxes that appear when you activate a particular square. There are names that you can add. Here are the repeater channels. Here are the do-it-yourself repeater channels. And these basically work the same way. You can click it and then you can get one of the repeater channels comes in. And then you can add down here past channel 54. You can add receive only channels. You can see that the transmitter side is grayed out. And then at the bottom of the channel list is the NOAA that we've seen before. So with the changes made, you would then click Save. You get a Save dialog box, gives you a chance to save this to a place where you know. You can see the naming convention that I use in this particular file is the year, the month, the date, and then the radio's name. And these save as text files. When you've got that saved, you would click Write. It would write back to the radio. You get a little dialog box that says it's writing, and the radio would show that it's done. The H8 also connects easily to the ODMaster app. Here's a quick look at the app. So let's do a quick tour of the ODMaster app. We're going to start by connecting to the Bluetooth. It sees the kit, which is the code for the GMRS Tidradio H8. And it made the connection right here, despite that error message. We're going to select a model, and it's going to be the Tidradio GMRS. Then we're going to read from the radio. When the read is complete, we can move into the channel display. And because of limited screen space, all of our channels are going to be listed here in a drop-down box, and we just scroll to get to them. And so this is GMRS channel 1. Here are the various things that we can change to include finishing up with the name. In the do-it-yourself area, we can go up to channel 31. And you can see I've already programmed a do-it-yourself GMRS channel. It's the one on 462, 675. I've got 467, 675 is the transmitter frequency, which reflects the offset. And then we've got these other things set, and then I can give it a name. I just double click there, type in whatever name I want to give it. The other thing we can do is we can move into channels outside of the 31 to 54, which are do-it-yourself channels, and go to like channel 55. And you can see that channel 55 I have programmed a frequency. There's no transmitter frequency because it's a receive only, but it's got all of the same information here. And so in this case, I have channel 55, and it's the first of the merged channels, and so that's what I've added. Over here, I can look at repeaters, and while this is more applicable to the ham version of the H8 or other radios that ODMaster interacts with, it gives you your nearby repeater frequencies, and so that's really handy. It uses the GPS to know where you are, in which case you just simply find the repeater that you want, tell it what channel you want to import it to that channel, and it's good to go. So it's really a very handy tool here within the ODMaster app. When you're done programming your frequencies, you can go to function, and here are the majority of the elements that are in the radio's menus, and you can make those changes, voice prompts like controls, priorities, programming for the side keys, all of that is listed here, so that makes it very easy. And then when you are done, you click save, give it a name. Generally, I like to use a name with a date and the radio model. And then you simply write it back to the radio. And so I'm not going to do that since I didn't make any changes. This gives us the opportunity to see all of the programs that we've made. You can see that I've been playing around with this. These were when I was doing some of the testing for the original model. Here are some that I've made just recently while I've been playing around with this latest model. And so you can save and add it, or you can go from here, pick this up and write it back to a radio that you may have messed up. And so having these available on your phone, available through the app, really makes this a pretty handy device. So that's the ODMaster app quick tour. In this display, you can see I've used the ODMaster website, and I've logged into my account there. The web address is web.odmaster.net, and I've logged in, and these are some of the files that I have in my master file on that website. This gives us the opportunity to do a couple of things. We can build various code plugs here, or we can modify the ones that we already have. Here's one that I worked on just the other day, so if I wanted to modify it, I could select it, click Update. It'll load. And with it all loaded, with more screen real estate, I can see all of the channels, or many of the channels at the same time. So these are grayed out. These are the basic GMRS channels over here. I can turn on these various things to include setting my CTCSS or DCS codes, busy lockout. I can have it on my scan list or not, and then of course I can give it a name. Here are the repeater channels. You can see they too are locked. And then in beginning on channel 31 are the do-it-yourself repeater channels. And so again, you can add frequencies here. This has got a drop-down box which will give you the frequency for the input to the repeater, which is at the 467 level, the 5 megahertz positive offset. And then here you can add CTCSS codes and that kind of thing. And with these 31 through 54, you can use whatever GMRS frequency that you would like. They don't have to alternate. You could put, 5 GMRS channel 23s or 15Rs in a row if you had that many in your area. And so then down here, I've got a couple of just kind of do-it-yourself channels here listed. And so here is a repeater that I imported using the import command we just looked at from that area. And then down at the bottom here are the NOAA weather channels. And so you can make changes easily here. And then when you save it, clicking save, it becomes available on the ODMaster app on your phone. You can also make changes to all of the various menu settings in the radio, and this one does have the mic gain setting, and so it has mic gain from 1 to I believe 36, 32, and I've got mine set at 20. And so when I make that, despite the fact that it doesn't show up on that ODMaster app, nor is there a menu item, they tell me that the mic gain is changeable, and this is one of the ways that you're going to be able to do that. So that's a quick tour of the ODMaster app online at odmaster.net. Get ODMaster from your App Store. Last on the programming topic, here's a quick look at the H8 GMRS display in Chirp. Chirp's big advantage over the Tidradio CPS is the ability to import predefined channels into your radio's available memory slots. Again, they'll receive only, but it's really handy to be able to import channels versus typing them in. Again, we'll go into more depth in the programming video linked at the end of this video and in the description. I really like the easy-to-read color screen that includes dual channel or frequency information, a consolidated sync display found on several newer GMRS radios, and a power meter across the top. You'll have to shade it in bright sunlight, but that's typical for these kinds of screens. I can hit all my local GMRS repeaters and have gotten good signal reports back from others. I'm purposely avoiding the whole topic of range, not because the H8's range is bad, but rather because range can vary so much depending upon your local environment. Let me just say that the H8's range is comparable to my other GMRS HTs. On the downside, the lack of USB charging is a bummer, but not a deal breaker. All in all, I found the H8 GMRS improved first generation radio to be a solid, good-looking, and easy-to-use HT. Join me over here for an in-depth programming tutorial for your new H8 GMRS HT, and if you found this video helpful, please click the thumbs up button below the video and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. Thanks for watching.